Then there's the Saddam Hussein statue incident. This is the second invasion of Iraq, 2003. So far, more than 1 million Iraqis are killed. The society is in shambles. But the U.S. finally got control of the oil fields. Okay, there were the weapons of mass destructions that were never found, right? I mean, that was the reason for the invasion, and that, of course, was treated as, by the media as a terrible threat to the Middle East, much like they're doing with Iran. Iran is threatening the whole Middle East, just like the weapons of mass destruction were there. It's the same line. Same wording, too, you know. But to kind of cover themselves, the U.S. portrayed itself as the liberator of the Iraq people against that terrible Saddam Hussein. And the proof was the toppling of the statue of Saddam Hussein. That the people were so happy, that they were so liberated, that there was this picture, the huge statue of Saddam Hussein, coincidentally right across the way for the high-rise hotel where the world media was that was covering the war. And they wanted to get down that statue, and they tried with sledgehammers, and they tried and they couldn't, and then this Marine vehicle came over and helped them get a rope around it, and then they were able to bring it down with the help of the Marines. That's what the Marines are for, you know. And then once the statue was down, people danced on the head of the statue and cried out in liberation. And the picture of the statue falling like this with the mosque in the background became like a symbol of the invasion. And it was carried worldwide. The whole world establishment media was in on this, right? This was a hoax. According to a much later broadcast from MSNBC, it's now on YouTube. This is all over YouTube. This is no secret. It was staged by a colonel of an Army Psychological Operations Unit. He called the statue a target of opportunity and decided it should come down. Of course, it was sitting right in front of the media. So the U.S. military used loudspeakers to gather up Iraqis. That whole plaza was off limits to the Iraqi people. It was guarded by the U.S. Marines. So they used loudspeakers to gather up Iraqis. They sat Iraqi children on the Marine vehicle, which pulled down the statue. They made a photo opportunity. And then, according to Al Jazeera, which was more progressive then, the people that were seen cheering and stomping on the head of the statue weren't even Iraqis, because you could tell that from their accents. So I'm just showing a picture. I don't have the original picture of the statue toppling, but I think you remember that. This is more or less the way the scene really looked. Yeah, there was I couldn't download everything, but they had a picture of the whole square. The statue was here with about 100 people. There were Marines here, Marines here, Marines here. That was it.
They shot with a wide-angle lens.
That was shot with a wide-angle lens. But the picture media just kind of, from the hotel, all they had to do was stick the cameras out the windows and just focusing on the statue and focusing. And they all happily obliged. At one point, Tony Murphy reminded me of this last night when the Marines were about to pull down the statue, because the Marines pulled down the statue. Because one Marine came and put a U.S. flag on Saddam Hussein's face, the face of the statue. And they got him down really quickly, because that wasn't what it was about. But it was carried in the international press. Just want to give one more example. It's about the Palestinians who never got one fair break ever in the U.S. media, because Israel is too important to the U.S. there. And it's about the invasion of Gaza, the 2008-2009 invasion of Gaza, which was horrendous. I mean, it was a horrible bloodbath. All the latest in U.S. weaponry was used, and the bunker busters, and experimental weapons, and against an essentially unarmed population. 3 weeks, 1,400 Palestinians were killed, 83% civilians, 350 children. And in those same 3 weeks, according to the figures of the Israeli government, 13 Israelis died. 13. 4 were killed by Palestinian rockets, 3 of them civilians. An additional 9 were killed by friendly fire. So that was I mean, the figures say it all, I think, you know. But the media keeps repeating that Israel had to invade Palestine because, Gaza, because the revolutionary forces in Gaza keep on firing missiles into Israel. It was repeated up to the war itself, but immediately before the war, all the major publications, particularly the Washington Post and the New York Times, explained, and this was the truth, there had been a ceasefire for months. There were no missiles coming from Gaza into Israel at the time of the invasion. You know, so right before they explained it. But they've conveniently forgotten that. And particularly when Israel attacked the Freedom Flotilla in the summer of 2010, killed 9 people. The U.S. media helped justify that attack by repeating this myth about the war on Gaza, that the war on Gaza happened when all these missiles kept on being aimed at Israeli civilians, so Israel invaded. And the Times and the Washington Post were leading the charge. They're the 2 media of record here. They're the media that set the tone for all the other media. And that's still repeated up till now. I did a search and found on March 14th, online New York Times, this quote, in 2009, Israel waged a fierce 3-week military campaign in Gaza to stop rockets from being fired on its southern communities. Other major media who forgot what happened in the Gaza war was CNN, USA Today, Fox News, NBC Nightly News, the Los Angeles Times, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Dallas Morning News, and others. Okay, so these are all blatant lies. But you know, when you control all the media and you shout them loud enough, that's what people think. So why are so many lies told about the Middle East? Well, it's not because Jewish people or the Israeli government controls or unduly influences the U.S. media outlets. It's because U.S. corporations are pulling the strings and pull in mind-boggling profits from exploiting Middle Eastern resources. That's why the media lies, and they're in on it. That's what it's all about. The major media are welded to the corporate network that has become a military-industrial media complex, and they use their vast conglomerates of newspapers, magazines, networks, and entertainment companies to promote a political climate favoring taking profits while censoring out news that interferes with it. With regard to the Middle East, their job is to keep the public from seeing that a few individuals and corporations reap billions of dollars by exploiting the people of the Middle East and bombing the people of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and Gaza. Michael Eisner, the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, in an internal memo that later became public, said, "We have no obligation to make history. We have no obligation to make art. We have no obligation to make a statement. To make money is our only objective." Now, Disney Company brings in the greatest revenues of any media conglomerate in the world. The giant media companies are not a free press. They are corporations, and in business to make money, the freedom they pursue is the freedom to make a buck. Today, only 5 giant companies control virtually all the media in the U.S. Time Warner, which is CNN and AOL, Disney, which is ABC, Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation, that's Fox, The Bettelman of Germany, which is the world's biggest publisher of English language books, that's interesting, and Viacom, former CBS. General Electric's NBC is a close 6. These media monopolies are huge. Time Warner alone has 292 separate subsidiaries and companies. Their profits are only earned via their subsidiaries, only partially earned via their subsidiaries. Even more important is the money to be made through mainstream media's interlocking relationships with even larger companies.